And Dahlousie Square is a big park, like Central Park. There's like 10 million people that live in Calcutta. And I'd get up early at the Y, and I stayed there for like $1 a night or something. And in the morning, you'd go down, and people had died on the sidewalk, and an ox cart that I took pictures of would come by with 2 or 3 Indians, and they'd pick up these dead bodies, throw them in the ox cart, and take them off, bury them or burn them or do something with them. But it just amazed me. And then you'd go out in Dahlousie Square, and there'd be all these Indians, smoking a pipe, cobras, mongoose fighting, a rope going up in the sky, and they'd be climbing the rope, laying on a bed of nails. All those things that you've seen or heard about were happening in Dahlousie Square, and it was great fun to see all this. But I didn't like India either. People wanted to touch you all the time. They're real curious, and there's beggars, and they've deformed beggars purposely.
Yep.
So I watched them. They have a regular route for them. They had one group of guys. They had a 1940 Buick 4-door, and they'd taken the back seats out and just had straw in it. And they'd have 2 or 3 bodies laying in this straw, and they'd come to a well-traveled corner and lift them out because they were helpless by themselves, put them on the sidewalk, and put a cup on their chest for honest, their Indian money, and the guy would just kind of hunch along. And then at night, I've watched these guys over several days, and they'd come and grab the cup full of money and put the guy in the back and take him somewhere and feed him, and then they'd bring him out the next day on a different corner.
Crazy.
And this one guy I got a picture of, they broke both his legs and one arm. He had one good arm, and the legs were so broken they were laying kind of on his chest.
Jeez.
And he just had a little kind of a thong around his vitals, and he would just kind of hunch along on his back, and people would put honors in there. They would take babies and put their feet in a wooden box. So their feet, now they're 10 years old, and their feet are, the size of this.
Yeah, they're bound.
Square and all bound up. And they'd do all kind of shit with their neck or ear, whatever it was. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, really disturbing.
And I tried to get pictures, and the first time I got my camera out, and the citizenry started throwing rocks at me. They didn't want me to take pictures of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So I put the camera down on the wall and would set a time exposure and walk away from it, and then this guy would kind of come along, and I'd get a picture of him.
Gotcha.
And later on, I went back. I've been back to Africa, 10 or 11 times. I got a Rolex, Rolleiflex. I think that's the name.
Oh, yeah, the camera.
Yeah, the camera.
Yeah.
And I've got all that stuff over here, the cameras I took. But then I could take that camera and in a regular camera you'd put up to your eye, 35 millimeter, and then they'd see you're taking a picture. But this I'd hang around my neck.
Bolex.
And no, it was a Rolex.
Okay.
I've got it over here. Show it to you. But you'd look down in it, and it's taking a picture over here, but I'm looking here. Or I'd hold it up like this, and I'd take pictures, and they're all looking up at what they think I'm looking at.
Right.
But I'm really taking a picture over here.
Right.
So that made a big difference when the second trip. It allowed me to get pictures that I couldn't get the first time.
Right.
So all that was interesting. So I hitchhiked across to India. I got on trains. Hitchhiking in India was really hard because there's no cars, and the trucks wouldn't pick you up so easily. But you could ride on the trains, and the train cars each car had a different class. So in India, depending how you're dressed or the different color of color you have on your forehead indicates. So if you're an untouchable, you got a red dot and you got rags on. And so for 2 annas you could get on a railroad car, but you had to go in that particular car.
Yep.
Those cars you can't walk through like ours. So once you got through the station, you'd buy the ticket as you went into the station, not on the train. And so if you were a Hindu, you had a turban and a beard, and that had another car. And you'd pay a price higher because that was a cleaner, better car. So I got untouchables to buy me a ticket, and because I was white, they didn't expect me. I could get through the gate into the platform with a 2-cent ticket, but then they figured I'm going to go so there's a white car, and that's the best car. Right. So I'd go to the white car
for 2 cents.
For 2 cents.
Yeah.
But what happens is every now and then an inspector will get on your car. He can't get off your car while it's going. He has to get off at a station. So he got in our car and checked everybody in our car and arrested me because I had the wrong ticket. Put me in jail in Bombay. And there again, I was all for buying my way off. So I gave the jailer $10.
Okay.
And bought my way out of jail. I was in jail for, I don't know, 5 hours maybe.
Gotcha.
So then I went to Bombay and I had a letter from the second �𝐲𝐧𝐠 ship I was on. So now I got 2 letters. And I waited in Bombay and got on a ship there called the State of Bombay and went from Bombay across the Indian Ocean to the Seychelles Islands, which I'd never even heard of, but which were spectacular. Very similar to Tahiti, because there had been black slaves. It had been a French possession and an English possession. They had mixed with the black African slaves and the Arabs on their dhows that had come across to get the slaves. So you had a mixture of French, English, Arab, and blacks, and they kind of looked like Tahitians.
Yeah.
I mean, they were kind of a blended color, and they had a lot of Caucasian features, and they were just as wild as the Tahitians were. And I got off in the main city of Mahi. We were there for a couple of days, and they had one record that they played in the bar, and it was "In the Mood" by Johnny Miller.
Oh, wow.
And so I'd be dancing with these girls to Glenn Miller, "In the Mood" in the bar. So then we went from the Seychelles, great beaches, the diving was fabulous. Jack Cousteau said it's the best diving in the world around there. And there's surf there, it was really great. But I couldn't find any surfboards. And then we went to Zanzibar, and I was there for 2 or 3 days, the old slave island right off the coast of East Africa. And then we went to Mombasa, the big port in Kenya, and I signed off there because I had a visa for Kenya. And then I started hitchhiking in Mombasa.